So, the Nexo Knights. You might be wondering what exactly are the Nexo Knights, and I guess to give you guys a little bit of context about this conversation, the Nexo Knights is, at the time of this recording at least, the newest originally owned, or I guess Lego owned, property that they come up with every few years. So, for example, a few years back, they came up with the concept of Legends of Chima, Ninjago. We have seen them delve into that original content, like Bionicles, for example, for several years going now. Like, they've done that for years and years and years. And Nexo Knights is one of the newest renditions of that concept. Now, to me personally, again, I think that I would probably be somewhat of a fan of Ninjago if I watched it or maybe gave it more of a chance or just kind of invested a bit more time into it, just because some of the designs for Ninjago are pretty sweet, plus ninjas are awesome. I was never a big fan of Legends of Chima or Bionicles for that matter, but I have to be honest, Nexo Knights resonated with me as far as art style, design, and aesthetic. I just really love the concept of combining kind of medieval concepts, of just like, hey, there's this one kingdom and then there's another kingdom and there's battle and you've got like sorcerers and you've got this kind of medieval feel, but they then added these new elements to it with essentially just adding up new tech and modern or even futuristic technologies to it. So I love that mix. I think it works really, really well. And generally speaking, like if you look at the Nexo Knights designs, at least in my personal opinion, I know some people say, oh, they're a little too similar and they're becoming blended together and so on and so forth. But for me, the mechs, the vehicles, the castles that we've gotten are all awesome. I love the character designs. I love the villain designs. They're doing such a good job of not only having really cool villains, like Jestro is really awesome, but the other villains that they bring out from the Book of Evil, or the Book of Monsters, sorry, are just so cool. Like, they're really, really varied. There's different scales and there's just different sizes to interact with. And that's why, to me, it is just so baffling that we have not heard of why the Nexo Knights are not a part of LEGO Dimensions. So that is what I want to discuss today, is really your opinion and thoughts as well about this matter. Would you want to see Nexo Knights added to LEGO Dimensions? And I guess kind of in some way pitch the concept of them joining LEGO Dimensions, because if it hasn't been thought of yet, I think it should be. So let's get rocking and rolling. So first and foremost, the main reason why I think they would do very, very well in LEGO Dimensions is because there's precedent for it. The Ninjago world and the Legends of Chima world in LEGO Dimensions are some of the best, because again, the wonderful thing is whenever they can use an original LEGO property, there are a lot less handcuffs or creative handcuffs placed on the game designers, because they're giving a lot more leeway and a lot more, I guess, just kind of a creative control over the process, because you can just go ahead and design stuff. Of course, you have to get it approved, I'm sure, and they can't just like design whatever they want, but I'm sure that the restrictions placed upon them, for example, of what you can do in the DC Comics world versus what you could do in the Ninjago world are very different, because again, Ninjago is Lego owned, so Lego gets to make the full decision on that matter. They could say, okay, we want you to use these designs and these characters. You can have whatever villains you want. It's just a lot more freeing, I would imagine, especially because if we look at the Ninjago levels, the Legends of Chima levels, the hub worlds themselves, they felt a bit more creative. Felt like there was a lot more freedom as far as like the types of missions that you can do and such. The interactions within the world were a bit more unrestricted. So I just really think that since we saw previous properties do so well in LEGO Dimensions, I think the Nexo Knights would lend themselves very well to that process. Now, the other element is because the actual story and the concept of Nexo Knights is brilliant for this kind of thing. The hub world could be literally the castle itself, like the Nexo Knights castle, the one that they were protecting, and the whole city, let's say, within its walls. And then you could do the outside of the hub world is where Jestro's lair could be and some of the villains and such. So it offers itself, like the actual world is perfect, where you could not only just introduce the world as it is. There's very little creative thinking about like, oh, how would we do this and so on and so forth, but it's already there. But additionally to that, it would be very easy to fill that world with a lot of different missions and a lot of different types of missions that maybe we haven't seen before. Like you could even do some sort of like a tower defense mini game or something like that, you know, where you could have Jestro spawning in villains from the Book of Monsters and trying to spawn them in, and then it's up to you as one of the Nexo Knights to defend against the evil forces of Jestro. So I just think it would really lend itself well to not only LEGO Dimensions, but here's even a better concept, a whole Nexo Knights game. I would love to see that. We've seen mobile handheld games for Ninjago. We haven't seen like a really big, giant, like, you know, home console version of a Ninjago game, but I'd love to see that as well. That would be wonderful if they did like a fully fledged world that was filled with tons and tons of missions, such as we've seen for like the Lego Marvel franchises, or Lego Indiana Jones, or the Batman games, the Star Wars games, so on and so forth. I know that it's very easy to say like, hey, those properties are ginormous. They're way bigger than something as little as, relatively speaking, when we compare them in scale, as Nexo Knights or Ninjago or Legends of Chima. But to me, I would just love to have a huge grand scale experience in either one of those worlds, but ideally the Nexo Knights world. And finally, the last thing that I wanted to discuss is just the sheer amount of crazy stuff that is available to you. Like the amount of vehicles that they have are fantastic. They have mech suits, they have tanks, they have helicopters, they have like flying vehicles. Just the variety of vehicles that you could select from on either the good guys or the bad guys side of things are incredible. Like even the more recent stuff that has been coming out now for the second wave, I guess, of Nexo Knights looks incredible. Some of the villain vehicles look insanely cool. So I would love to see that done up in a video game form. It would be so awesome to see. So not only do I feel like the world itself would be really fun to explore in a video game, whether it be as a hub world in LEGO Dimensions, or maybe even better if it was like a whole game by itself, but I think that the world is fantastic, but then everything that is within it is just as cool. Like you have varied characters that oftentimes poke fun at their own little cliche elements, and on top of that you have a lot of really cool designs and art styles to explore while you are in this world. So with all that in mind, ladies and gents, I want to now hear from you lovely folks. Let me know down in the comment section below, what do you think? Would you love to see the Nexo Knights join the LEGO Dimensions universe, or do you think that it is an absolutely ridiculous, silly idea that I should never even have brought up? Plus, imagine how cool it would have been if maybe they could do like a Ninjago versus Nexo Knights, or something like that. That could be a really cool concept. If they did like a game that was Ninjago versus the Nexo Knights, where you pit ninjas versus knights, that sounds like a pretty compelling game. That sounds like For Honor, but at a family-friendly level. So that sounds pretty awesome to me. Now, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I, of course, do hope to see each and every single one of you lovely folks here next time. Peace out. See you laters, alligators. Oh, yeah, and don't forget, guys, click the like button if you want to see more of these types of videos in the future. Bye-bye, guys.